A nonprofit organization that operates as a special project of the Florida Attorney General's office was designed to reduce the victimization of senior citizens who are often targeted for specific crimes or scams based on their age. All the details of this program and how they are making a difference in the community is coming up right here on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Brian Lacey, and joining us in studio is the office manager for Seniors versus Crimes, Dick Fierno, a legend to the Polk Place tapings. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Always good to see you. We want to talk a little bit about Seniors versus Crimes. What exactly is Seniors versus Crime?
This is a volunteer program, a project of the Florida Attorney General. And there's about 40 such offices throughout the state that are run by volunteers. And in Polk County, we have one office, which is in the Sheriff's Office building in North Lakeland.
Now, when it comes to the program, how is it funded and how does it work?
Well, at one time it was funded strictly by criminals, in which criminals were fined for their criminal activity. And then that money was used to fund our office. As more offices opened up, now we're getting money for grants. We do have a few office expenses, and I am compensated for mileage when I do a presentation somewhere, and for postage stamps, and that's about the only expenses we have.
And you are a volunteer, as we said.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that that you really want to alert to folks who might be targeted for scams or for such crimes. What should be some of the things that they're looking out for?
I want to be sure to stress how important it is to never do business with someone that comes knocking on your door who you did not invite to come. Second, I would like to encourage people who are making a major purchase, such as a car, a house, an investment, to never agree to make the purchase on the first time it's offered to you. Give it a day or two to think about it. No matter how persistent the car salesman is, tell him, we'll let you know the next day.
When folks think that they've possibly been scammed, had a crime committed against them, how would they go about finding your services, what you do? Do they come to the office, come see you? Do they call? How do you get a lot of your references as to where you're at?
We have referrals from a number of different sources. One is when someone files a complaint with the Florida Attorney General, then they may, if it's appropriate, refer it to Seniors versus Crime, which finds its way to the appropriate office where the location is, where the incident occurred. A second way it's referred is from the website that the Seniors versus Crime has. By pulling up Seniors versus Crime, there is a complaint form someone can use. And then a third source of referrals come from various other agencies, people that have found out about us in Polk County, at the Sheriff's Office, law enforcement agencies.
One of the things that you just touched on there is the Sheriff's Office and the law enforcement agencies of our local municipalities. Talk about the partnerships. Sheriff Judd is an outstanding individual that supports everything that happens in this county to the residents, and he is especially an advocate for Seniors versus Crime. Talk to me about those partnerships, not only with Sheriff Judd, but with the local municipalities.
Well, most of the Seniors versus Crime offices, like in Polk County, is affiliated with their sheriff's office. In some cases, it may be their local police department, but we consider this a partnership with the sheriff's office in this county.
And Sheriff Judd is very tough on crimes against our seniors.
Yes, we have What we actually do is to deal with civil wrongs. We deal with civil matters which law enforcement cannot address. And occasionally we will have cases come in that are violations of criminal law. And when that happens, we guide that person to their local law enforcement agency for them to pursue it. Otherwise, we act on their behalf helping them with their civil incident by writing letters, making phone calls to help them to resolve the problem or get their money back.
And at what cost is it to the individual coming to you seeking help in the event that you can help them?
Well, of course, there's no charge to them. We are volunteers. The sheriff's office space that's provided for us is at no cost to us, and so free assistance.
Now, what is your background as far as prior to Seniors versus Crime? What have you been doing?
Well, for 29 years, I was a salesman with a pharmaceutical company. And then at a later time when I retired, I became a victim advocate. I, at a later time yet, went to the Law Enforcement Academy. And for a short time, I was a police officer. I was sworn in at age 66. And shortly after that, I realized that probably it would be best for me to resign and pursue something else. So that training I had as a police officer was very valuable in what I'm doing today.
How long have you been doing the Seniors versus Crime? And I've got to say, for at least 5-6 years you've been coming to see me. So how long have you been doing it, and why do you keep doing it?
Well, since 2004. That's when our office in Polk County opened. At that time, it was the 13th office in the state. At this time, there's about 40 offices throughout the state.
So roughly since about 2004, how many residents would you say that you've helped with Seniors versus Crime?
The files that we have number about 1,040 or 50, as I remember. And so we've had well over 1,000 cases that we've assisted. About half the cases we have tried to assist with, we were not successful. For example, the wrongdoer cannot be located.
Yeah.
He may be moved out of state.
One of the things that tends to really get in the way is the senior is sometimes embarrassed by what has happened to them, and they really don't want to call any attention to perhaps their mental lapse. Talk about the importance of coming to see you and reporting the crime and doing what they can to make sure that the next person doesn't get scammed.
Well, we certainly very much encourage people to notify us when they've been scammed. I would like to talk to them, and I'm able to tell them how many other cases we've seen similar to that, so they're not the only one. And there's a couple kinds of scams that we would want to report to the government agency that has to do with it. For example, if a person has received a letter in the mail notifying them of a lottery winnings, which turns out to be a scam, the United States Postal Inspector Service wants to be notified. That can be done by internet. We can help the person do that. When someone has been notified of some of the other scams, there's a government agency that wants to be notified about. The IRS scam, for example.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because that seems very prevalent. If you could kind of touch on that, how that happens. At no point in time will the IRS want you to go get them gift cards.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about that scam and how it works.
Well, we've heard this a number of times in which the person has been notified by telephone. This is the IRS. You owe back taxes, and you need to get this taken care of before the end of the day. Otherwise, we will have a police officer come and take you into custody. And so here's what you do. You go to Walmart or to Walgreens, you get a gift card and you pay for it, and then you notify us by phone with the number that's on that card, and then you'll be in good shape. And there's people that fall for that. In fact, probably the most egregious case we had was an older woman who called me to tell me that she had been notified of $1 million lottery winning. But then there were some taxes attached to that, some administration expenses, so she needed to send money before she could collect her lottery winnings. As we talked, I realized that she had sent money more than one time. And as we talked, I said, "How many times did you send money?" She said, "About 50 times. And I said, "Well, about how much money total did you send?" She replied, $200,000.
Wow.
At a later time, a few weeks later, she called me and asked me if I could provide her with the name of a bankruptcy attorney. And of course, my reply is we cannot recommend any one attorney, but I did provide her with the names of 4 bankruptcy attorneys in the town where she lived.
And that's got to be heartbreaking for you to hear something like that.
That's for sure, yes.
One of the things that whether they hear about you internet-wise, whether they're referred from an agency or it's just a word of mouth, one thing that you guys find real important, especially you, is getting the word out there. Talk to me a little bit about how you're available to do groups, presentations. Talk a little bit about that and how the folks go about getting you out to get them better informed.
Well, I'm always looking for the opportunity to speak to a group of citizens, and not necessarily elderly people, because I know that if I'm speaking to a group in their 20s, they have parents, grandparents that may need our information. Before I go any further, I want to stress the fact that we can help people of any age. They do not have to be senior citizens. But anyway, I have given talks to church groups, to community groups. Catholic Charities has set me up with about, I think, 5 different locations where I am giving presentations now, different places in the county.
Well, Mr. Fierno, it's always a pleasure to have you in here, and anytime that we can help you promote what you're doing and making a difference in this county, you're welcome in that chair. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Right. The primary goal of Seniors versus Crime Project is to reduce the victimization of senior citizens who are often targeted for specific crimes or scams based on their age. The Seniors versus Crime Project handles thousands of cases for seniors every year. Since opening of the first local project office in 2001, local project offices have handled more than 39,000 cases and recovered over $16 million, plus over $12 million in realized gain for Florida seniors. Now, if you need more information locally, you can give them a call at 863-577-1672 or look them up on the web at www.seniorsversuscrime.com.